How y'all doing? I'm doing another RPG review, and this is the first set of books in my collection of role-playing game books. Which I will say again, I've never been much of a player, haven't had much of an opportunity, and trying to get time to set up for these things. And I will admit, when I first got this, I figured all I needed was just a box set. I didn't realize that there were some core books at the time. This is the Dungeons and Dragons, and it is a campaign, Council of Wyrms. I got this. Well, it's a game where you play a dragon. In most Dungeons and Dragons, of course, you play a human or a humanoid character like an elf or a dwarf or a gnome or anything like this. No, this one, you play a dragon. I mean, just the idea of that is pretty cool, especially if you're into dragons. Now, a friend of mine told me about this, and I went to the Hastings, which, is now closed, coupled about 2 or 3 days while I'm making this video. So, yeah, I guess it's sort of a tribute to the passing of that store, because that was a time when, well, despite the fact the store was closed, I sort of feel nostalgic for the things that used to be in it at the time, but that's a long story in of itself. But anyway, yes, it's the first thing I ever got for anything in Dungeons & Dragons. Now, I didn't know at the time that, to get ready for Dungeons & Dragons, it helps to have the player's handbook, the Monster's Manual, and the Dungeon Master Guide. I just figured get this, and that should be all it is. Now, this does tell you how to create a character, of course. And as far as campaigns go, this is not very extensive. In fact, this box is it. Normally, you have like Forgotten Realms. You have the base campaign set, and a whole slew of expansions. Same with Dragonlance in its heyday. Same with Planescape and Dark Sun. Just about every campaign setting they made about it had multiple sources outside the main ones. But this is box set, and that's it. Didn't caught on, in other words. I mean, as mentioned in the revised version of the second edition, revised second edition, right before they went to third edition. If you open up the covers, it talks about all the core rule books and campaign settings, and Council of Wyrms was one of them. So, at least on the bright side, if you ever find this, you just have to have everything that came with it, and you're good to go. And this is probably not very good for long-term play if you want to play a dragon, because playing a dragon is very different. I'll get into that shortly. But I'm just going to open this up and look through all the books and show what's in it. And if you're interested, maybe you can find some PDFs online and try it out for yourself. And just bear in mind, this is the box set, but later, this came out in 1994. And later on, they came out with the exact same thing in one single hardcover volume. And which, is everything that's in this, which is now 3 separate softcover books and a few little cards. But let me show you what I mean. Okay, here we go. This is the box set. Some great Jeff Easley cover art here of the Council of Wyrms. Gives a nice, good, dynamic, picture of what it could be. My box is a little worn out here. They have a tendency to do that. So let's open it up and see. Books are out of order. This has about 3 books and some poster cards, and it came with 3 posters. So let me go in the order here. Okay, we have, let's see, Council of Wyrms. This is the main rules. I'll go through this. You see some of the art? Give you an idea of the look and feel about this. So we here, Council of Wyrms, got a little baby dragon right here. Bill Slavicsek is the writer of this series. Let's see. Cover art, Jeff Easley. Arnie Sweckel. The pencil designs, Glenn Angus does the ink. Arnie Sweckel, I've tried to look it up on Google. A lot of Magic the Gathering cards created by this person. So, he's still have a nice, healthy set of work. Now, you'll notice that some of the artwork about this can be a bit on the cartoony side, for good or for ill. It does give it its own unique look. This is a silver dragon right here. And you got these little things. I never spoke of it, but they all knew. I envied them, the dragons. Anonymous Kindred. Kindred are non-human characters that you could play with. Let's see, the introduction. It talks about the how to set up a character and all that. You got it, dragon right here, but that is a half dragon bowing to it. So, and it talks about how to get things started. red dragon fighting one of the others. And another thing about this is that the way to design the dragons here is, and this is true in general for any D&D thing, would accept, but if you could probably look at the design of the dragon, even though it's black and white, you could tell which one it is. I mean, I think this is a copper dragon. That's most likely a bronze. You can tell by sort of dripping. That could be the acid burn right here. This is a red dragon. And you can tell this because throughout the illustrations and one of the posters has a drawn example of what each of the dragons look like. So you can distinguish them just by looking at them without looking at the color. Here we're talking about the stats, what it all means. You gotta have your modifiers. This is 2nd edition, so some people probably compare this to tax forms of setting up your character. But let me go on and see what the flavor art. This talks about each of the dragons: gold, silver, bronze. Now they gave the stats to all the dragons available, but the only player character dragons are the metallics and the gem dragons. The chromatic dragons, your evil dragons, red, green, blue, black, and white, those are non-player characters, but they do give the stats. So where I guess if you don't want to be a hero, want to be a villain, you can go ahead and do that. But it's not. But they're considered NPCs in this. So, and here they, throughout these pages, it describes each of the dragons, what their personality is like, and everything, how good they are, what kind of good do they do. Gem dragons are neutral, but they have the they're naturally neutral, but they have the unique ability of psionic powers, psychic abilities. And of course, each dragon has their own different breath weapon. Fire, of course, from a couple of them. There's cold, there's acid, there's poison, there's lightning. The gem dragons have their own different ones, either involving sound or crystals shooting out. So I can't remember which, but now here's a sapphire dragon with a kindred writing on it. I mean, it seemed kind of demeaning there, but no, the dragons are definitely the lords and rulers of these lands. So yes, and of course the kindred right here, these are also player characters. None of them are human. Humans are non-player characters in this. They play as, if they show up, they're most likely as dragon slayers or just someone about to do evil upon the realm where the council worms exist. But for other player characters outside dragons, you have your dwarves, you have your elves, you have your gnomes. And we have a list right here where each type of dragon would have a preference to. The letters represent whether they prefer, rarely, or never. And even with never, there are some exceptions. For instance, if you're a gold, they would prefer a gnome, but they rarely, on the rare occasions, they'll take a dwarf and an elf. Now, or a red, they never choose an elf. They prefer a dwarf, and they rarely choose a gnome. Now, just because they prefer it doesn't mean they're going to be nice to it, depending on the nature of the dragon. So, and of course, more character building: hit dice, saving throws, alignment. So, advancement experience levels. Some wonderful artwork here. So, red dragons, slave driving dwarves to do their bidding, gathering the hordes and what have you. You can see one dragon right here with a whip, leading them on. And here, we got an amethyst dragon, with some hatchling dragons here. And the hatchlings are different breeds, but that will make sense when you talk about the world, particularly the council itself. So, the setting of Council Worms takes place in a archipelago of islands, which throughout the archipelago has every type of land formation: deserts, mountains, volcanic areas, icelands in the north and south, various islands and stuff like that. So there's throughout this archipelago you have a wonderful set of environments, different set of adventures that can be done with that. But in this center would be a where the Council Worms exist, which is a huge carved building that all the dragons gather. It was carved out of a mountain where they have special council meetings of special events. Now, this section right here talks about the powers and abilities of the dragons themselves, like the topaz dragon. Special ability: communicate with any intelligent creature. Spells, magical abilities, 5th level, plus combat modifiers, immune to cold, blah, 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 that sort of thing. And so, innate abilities, what they would have throughout their lives, psionic abilities, and of course you'll need the Psionic Handbook, 2nd edition for this. And let's see. Dragons, of course, the spells. Now, the thing is about dragons is that it's hard to create a character class per se. You have character kits, which of course you have the dragon. Well, okay, that's the closest thing, you know. I mean, just a dragon being a dragon with its own abilities and everything. But there's also dragon mage and dragon priest. So. And also, there's a unique character called the half-dragon. This is common in D&D these days, but this is the first time I ever come across the concept of this in Dungeons & Dragons. And this is way back in the early mid-90s, where I was just now getting into this. And the half-dragons, and I'll show you, you've seen a picture in the slideshow, and I'll show you in the cards here, in the art, but they have a different look. They are you're half human, or not human, but you're an elf, gnome, or dwarf, and one of the good dragons, they're all in good alignment, dragons, either gold, silver, or bronze dragons, which have an innate ability to polymorph themselves into their humanoid. They can mate, and they can have child offspring, and that becomes a half-dragon. Here we got I believe this is a blue dragon there shooting its breath weapon. So yeah, all this talks about how to make a dragon character, tactics, and you know how do dragons fight, and the challenge of claw and wing. This is a special duel that is done at the Council of Wyrms arena, which we'll get about in the 2nd book. Here we go. This is the campaign book. This talks about the world of the Council of Wyrms. Again, great Jeff Easley artwork right here. Same interior artists who did the interior work. But some new ones. Here we go. A dragon battling this is a human. There's a special non-player character called Dragon Slayers, which go out and try to hunt the dragons. Obviously, but I do like the unique look of the armor. Maybe a bit too spiky for my taste, but you know, if we reduce down, I think it looks pretty neat. And this part, probably the least interesting part for me is all the different clans. One of the posters is a picture of all the dragon clans with all their symbols on it. Not too impressive, not compared to the other two. So yeah, we'll just skip this part because there's not much here. You know, formal address, and here we go to Council of Wyrms itself. This talks, you know, there's a black dragon versus a Dracolich. Yes, they talk about how to create undead dragons here. Let's see. Council members, code of the council. You know, they have their own pantheon of gods, dragon gods. And let's see. Council member, you know, talks about how the structure is. There is the council of, area itself. You know, this is all the islands around the archipelago, they have their own dragon lords and such like this, but they all come here for special issues or events that amongst the dragons. And this one, by the measurements, is a challenging area. Is 5,000 feet above ground, measuring 10,000 by 4,000 feet. Audience perches are 500 feet high, so witches are here. So, and this is where the battle of claw and wing happen. But here's the interior. You have the Great Hall right here, and each one of these side caves are the caves dedicated to each of the dragons themselves. Letter Q here, that's the hatchery and treasury, and custodial cave here. And each one, all the others are the halls, the caves for each of the other dragons. Each square in this map is a 500 feet. So a pretty large area. They carved this out of a mountain, but of course the dragons as large as they get. They need all the space they can get. A council of custodians, summoning a council, and here is a meeting. Of dragons about to approach the council there. The orbs of Io, means of communication. Let's see. Yeah, there's a lot of text in here. So, of course, D&D, you play with imagination. But, good artwork can reinforce, how to drive you where the imagination goes. And there's a silver dragon on a horde. This chapter right here, time and dragons, about what happens when a dragon ages, how does it, and this also tells about how it gains experience. See, dragons have, most characters, when we play Dungeons & Dragons, usually go from levels 1 to 20. And if we're epic characters, from 20 to 30. Dragons have about a smaller number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10. Yeah, they have about basically 12 levels, and they gain their levels based on their age and a few other and a few other things before they even reach to the next level. And each level represents their life cycle. 0 to 5 years as a hatchling. 16 to 15 is very young. 16 to 25 is young. 26 to 50 is juvenile, and so on. Mature adults are 2 to 400 years old. The great Wyrms are 1,200 years plus. And of course, you also have your other races: the human, the dwarf, the gnome, and half-elf. So these are, it's pretty much, I think it'd be hard to play these characters in long campaigns, because they can live for so long unless you put them in a lot of danger. This talks about hordes, the treasures that they do, and the sleep. That's a very important feature for the dragon to gain the next age level. And of course, they gain the next level, they gain more strength. So, this talks about the mating of dragons, This book right here just tells about the world itself and the dragon's, nature here, so you can try to adds a little bit of immersion into it, of course. The religion, the gods, you have your god Io, the greatest of the gods, Chromatic, but then you reach some similar names like Bahamut, Tiamat, and so forth. Not too many gods, but hey, this is a kind of religion. Dragons and magic and magical equipment. And we got the same picture again, but in reverse. Again, in reverse. And we talk about the dragon kits, which is closest thing they have to classes, which is like your job. Your dragon kit is a basic dragon PC. That's all it is, and all that requires. But also, dragons can be a mage, or they can be a priest. And and even then you also have the kindred demi-human kits. For instance, dragon riders. A dragon rider is a kindred elf, dwarf, or gnome trained to work in total harmony with the dragon master. These demi-humans do not control the dragon they ride. Instead, they serve as another set of eyes and ears for the dragons, suggesting tactics and warnings against blindside attacks. So it's having a servant with you. Now the half dragons come in 2 kits. Let's see. They can use any kit allowed their demi-human race except the Dragon Rider kit. For the complete handbook of humanoids, the following may be selected: Warrior, which is sellsword or wilderness protector; Wizard, you could be a hedge mage humanoid; Scholar, outlaw mage; Priest, which could be oracle, war kit, wandering mystic, could be a rogue, scavenger, tramp. But there's also 2 other kits, which is the Exile, and then you have the Ward. I'm not sure a lot of people may want this one. The Ward is a half-dragon who has a dragon patron. This patron provides the Ward with wealth, a place to live, and tasks to perform. Some patrons provide assistance without even ever revealing themselves. Others are known to their wards, but the relationship is kept secret from others. Patrons provide help, perhaps because they are responsible to half-dragons' birth, or perhaps because it gives them a tool to use. And it gives the benefits, for them. Now the human kit, again, humans are not play characters, but they have a special kit of the Dragon Slayer. So you can, if you're a dungeon master, you use this kit and hopefully create a formidable opponent to your dragons. So yes, they are dragons and they're humans and they attack something that's very huge and very tough, but they're given special abilities that gives them an edge. So that's the end of the second book of the campaign. The third book, which I admit I haven't read this one thoroughly because I'm more interested in the other two. But that is the adventure books, and this is a set of what was it, 3 adventures? Yeah, this is okay, 4 adventures, and this for your characters to start. And they're all good for beginning players. Like the first one's good for hatchling PCs, 3rd level dragons. You'll have another adventure, 4th level, and 6th level. The rest you could just make up. But it never went too far with this. Maybe it just didn't seem like they could go far with it at all. The first one, called Not the Draka, which I'm sure back in the 90s this is in reference to the Jim Henson TV show Dinosaurs, where there was a baby character that said constantly, whose catchphrase was "Not the mama." This is where a bunch of ogres come in, steal the dragon eggs right where they're hatching, and the characters, I guess, are born in this event. Again, I am not quite sure, but it's pretty obvious in the picture what it's working with. So this, goes around. There's a map, the council hatchery, and this gives you, tells you what your face, who all the ogres are, and what have you. The next one, Colorblind. I just think this is a white dragon that's been put on trial by the dwarves. Let's see, for the crime of hunting on clan land, he should be put to death. Matella, dwarf elder. So again, this is sort of a mystery about trying to take a white dragon, which is inherently evil, and prove its innocence. So, this sort of just that talks about all the names and characters. Again, a lot of text, not too much art, except for the main head chapter itself, and a few maps. Yes, this may not seem very interesting, for those just getting Dungeons & Dragons. The Terrible Alliance. That's when I realized it was no vassal ship, it was a Frost Giant's longboat, Snowfire the White. So we got a giant right here, dragon behind it, a white dragon. It looks like a human dragon slayer. So apparently, that's dragons being, when you get hatchlings, they won't be too much. They could probably face the normal monsters that humans and demi-humans face. But as they get larger, they probably have bigger opponents like giants and stuff like that. Maybe you create enough demons. The Frost Giant Raiders. You have to go against that. And again, a lot more text. Tells you rewards and everything. Stolen Hordes. And a little on the side here. This maze was constructed for only one purpose, to destroy you. Hammerim the Dwarf. This is a very dangerous maze here, that even for a dragon. So here's picture of the maze itself, all the chambers, markers right here, and it also tells the traps itself. So. And a lot more text. It's probably one reason why I didn't get into this, because it's, usually as a player character, you don't read the adventures unless you're the DM. So you don't want to spoil it to everyone. I may have looked at it here and there, but since it's long, so I only know the gist of each one of these. And here we have additional stuff. Here are these little cards that it comes with, and some wonderful artwork. And there's a gold dragon, but on the back are the character sheets. You copy these and use those to make your character out of. And this is if you're playing a dragon character kit. You follow the rules and make it right here. So there you go. Now, of course, this one is a wonderful silver dragon, and I think this one is for the dragon mage. So yes, because you have your spells and so forth. They have more spells than what dragons naturally do. And this one I think is a copper dragon, and this is the dragon priest. Especially gotta have your healers as well. And you got this beautiful emerald dragon. Now with this one, Dragon Psionicist, I forgot to mention that. If you're a Gem Dragon, there's a chance you can be a a Dragon Psychic. And on the bottom here, you have your sciences, devotion, disciplines, and all that. And of course, this is the character sheet, for your demi-humans, the gnome, the dwarf, and the elf. Not too many elves sport mustaches. You ever notice that? But yes, if you're playing a demi-human, kindred player, you need to use this sheet right here. All your basic stuff. And this is a half dragon. Current half dragons in Dungeons and Dragons have more draconic looking faces, more shorter snouts. This one is a more humanoid. I always love the eyes on this one. The clawed talons. You see dragon features, but you can still tell them it's humanoid. Although design choice, I don't think the horns coming out of the side shoulders would be convenient. Clever use of the flags, but it seems more of a hassle. And this one right here, you see an Amethyst Dragon talking to an elf kindred there. And let's see. Yes, these are non-player characters, important non-player characters. Blood clans. Mikkel, the Great Worm, the Grand Custodian, that's the Amethyst Dragon. The elf in that same picture is Elmorin. So it's a vassal to her. And Fireclaw, Red Hatchling. Don't see much in the picture. Unless it's that one way off there, but it wouldn't be because it's a hatchling, it says. But again, some interesting stats right here. And we got these two. These two, we got a Black Dragon. This is the colored version of what we saw before, Black Dragon and Draculich. Again, these are two non-player characters, Deathstream the Old, Infernus the Draculich. They give rules on how to make the Draculich in this game. And these right here are your counter tables. Depending on the, if you are playing a game in the Arctic and you need a random generator, roll a 1d8 plus a 1d12 to generate the monsters on these tables. It's, from looks of these, just 1 to 20. You figure there's a 20-sided die, re-roll a 1. Less complicated. So this will show what type of monsters that the characters might face in what environment, and it kind of goes on. Since the Isle Blood chain has all of the types of environments available, this is not too much of a problem. And oh yes, this is a quick guide for all of the dragon creation, the modifiers, the racial ability requirements. Yes. And on top of this, this came with 3 posters. One of them shows all the dragons. One shows the map, which you see in the slideshow. And I think what I'll do is I'll show off the most interesting one of all. So let me get all this together. All right, because I like to keep things in order. And for some reason, when I got this, it came with a blank sheet of blue paper. I don't know why. Guess it was, because most people just bring it around, but I guess they want to be nice. So let me show you the poster I was talking about. So this is one of the 3 posters that came with the Council Wyrms. One of them was a map of the archipelago with a hexagonal, so you could use it to see where your dragon goes. The other one was a bit more boring. It just shows all the dragon clans and all their symbols that could have been worked as interior art in the book. But this one right here is something you probably have on your wall. This shows all the types of dragons, all 15 of them, excuse me, and so you know what each one looks like in general form appearance. It also gives you the idea of the body sizes they are once you reach a certain age. So here we got a bronze dragon, and then we have the gold. And this is one of the times when he started making golds more European looking or Asian, or less Asian looking. Nowadays it has a combination of the two with the whiskers and such, but it's still a European dragon body. So here we have a brass. I have to admit, the designs of the Frito chip wings there was never appealing to me. I'm glad they did away with that later on in RPG dragons. Copper dragon, again, Frito chip wings, not a big fan of. I personally like the bat-like wings. Now, sometimes the artwork isn't perfect. I don't care too much for this big, fat, bloated body. That's why I like when 3rd edition came about. It made it look like they went on Tybo. And we got the white dragon here. This is a very young one. And the smallest dragon is, even when fully grown, is the crystal dragon. But don't underestimate them. Then you got the famous red dragon here. And I got an emerald dragon. The sapphire. You can take a look at each one of these and they form an appearance. Like the sapphire dragons have the horns that go on the side. And the gem dragons have, of course, the crystalline bodies and such. Amethyst dragon. The green. The blue. And then there goes the black. Topaz. Now, I will admit, I have a miniature of this one. I'll get to that in a second. I won't show it because I'm kind of embarrassed by it. And the largest one, just to show you the largest dragon size, is a silver. But this is a silver at the Great Worm stage. And Great Worm is the biggest dragon age category. There is a person down here, an elf, for size comparison. So Great Worms tend to get this size. They have made miniatures in the past. Raoul Partha has made many, but not all the dragon types. I've shown, you see in the slideshow. I have the Topaz dragon right here. But it was it's an older miniature, and when I got it, it's kind of embarrassing to look at compared to the skill I have now, because I had no concept of the highlights, shadings, and such. I painted it the yellow. I gave it apricot colored wings, painted the eyes, a little bit of jewelry. You know, it's basically this, but on all fours. In fact, it's in the slideshow, the picture of what the Topaz miniature looks like. And I didn't do, trying to be somewhat creative, not by much, but trying to be creative and trying to give it a crystalline glitter look by using spray glitter. And the only spray glitter I found was clear flakes and gold flakes, so it's not perfect. But hey, that's the thing about miniatures. You should start off, not perfect. But there you go. There's Council of Wyrms. If you are interested, I'm sure you can find physical copies here and there, either in the box set that I got or in 1999. All that you just saw, besides the posters, can be found in a hardcover book where they took all the 3 books and all the character kits, stuff like that. They put it all in one hardcover book. And I'm sure today you can find it in PDF form. So there you go. The Council of Wyrms. Thank you all for watching. You have a nice day.